Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. I am on the test server right now. Thank you to Plarium, as always, for letting me come on the test server to make videos for you on this stuff. And we are checking out 10, that's right, 10 new champions coming in the patch this week. And guys, this is also going to include all these fusion champions. So we're going to be checking out these 4 epics. These are going to be the 4 epics. This is from the in-game news that are looking likely to be the ones for the fusion. Of course, that's always subject to change, but I think it's very, very likely. In fact, there's only 4 epics, I believe. So they have a tough time changing it at this point. First of all, let's take a look at the fusion in-game. Grishnak Verminlord. There he is in all his glory. Really cool model. This guy looks amazing. Thank you guys for pointing out he's actually part of the Nutcracker ballet, I think, is where he comes from. So that's the link with Christmas. We've already seen his skill kit, which I think looks really good. And if we look then at his stats, he does have very high base speed. He's got a bit of baseline accuracy as well. He doesn't really have any crit damage. And about 1365 base attack. Decent defensive stats. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I think it's a pretty solid solid stat line across the board. Defensively, he'll be okay, but not amazing. The attack is good, but not insane. So we'll see how hard the bombs actually hit. We'll have to go test it out. His direct hits, probably with the crit damage being a bit low, won't hit super hard. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid looking start for this guy. Let's take a look at the epics then. Let's see what we've got. So we're diving into the High Elves, first of all, to look at Endalia. It looks kind of fun. She reminds me a lot of... there is that new game by a Dark Souls-esque game set in France. She reminds me really of like the robots in that one. You know, the guys that made Greedfall. I can't think of the name of the game. You guys might know what I'm talking about. It reminds me of the robots from that. Looks cool. Flash of Guilt attacks one enemy, has a 25 books to a 50% chance to provoke for 1 turn. Then she has Elegant Disarm, books to a 3-turn cooldown, AoE attack with a 75 books to 100% chance of decreased attack. And then her passive is what makes her good. So 3-turn cooldown, but books to a 0-turn cooldown, so just always on. Counter attacks when attacked by enemies under decreased attack debuffs. I think this champion is pretty interesting, actually. Accuracy in all battles, 40. Solid stats across the board. Seems like a pretty solid champ, right? Going to come in with decreased accuracy, and then decreased attack, AoE, and then whenever she gets hit, she's going to have a 50-50 to provoke them right back and force them to attack her the next turn. HP-based champion, she's going to be tanky. I mean, she's not the most exciting in a way, but I do quite like her, actually. This sort of simple, straightforward kit. You know what you're getting. For Hydra, she's going to be okay. Like, she'll put decreased attack, and she's going to be counter-attacking. She can provoke on the A1 50-50. I think a fairly solid champion, actually. Next up, let's jump over to the Orcs, where we've got the next epic. There's just, there's a lot going on visually with this champion. I honestly find it a bit hard to parse when I first look at him. I think there's too much going on. There's too much. It just doesn't make sense. It's just overwhelming. Anyway, Trumbor defense-based epic. He has double whammy A1, double hitter. First hit has a 30 bucks to 40% chance of putting weaken. Second hit a 30 bucks to 40% of leech. So weaken, leech, not the best chances, but okay. His A2 Vigor Explosion, 3-turn cooldown when booked, attacks all enemies, removes a random debuff from all allies before attacking, and damage increases by 5% for each debuff removed. Not super exciting, like a mini budget cleanse. Maybe it hits hard, we'll see. Wall of Muscle, his A3, 6-turn books to a 4-turn cooldown, puts ally protection on all allies except this champion for 2 turns, and puts increased defense on this champion for 2 turns. And then he's a passive, whenever he's attacked, has a 20 that books to a 40% of decreasing the duration of all debuffs on this champion by 1 turn. This guy, to me, he's not very exciting, right? Going to put out ally protection, increase defense, do a mini cleanse, and probably hit pretty hard. He's got a couple of debuffs there, reduce the debuffs on him. He seems okay. I don't know. He might be okay in some teams. He doesn't jump out to me. He's going to keep your team alive. Probably a good, again, progression sort of champion for dungeons and stuff, but not super exciting, but not bad. He's just not exciting. Next, we're over to the Knight Revenant, and Aishma is coming in. I think this champion visually looks really cool. This looks like something straight out of actual Dark Souls, for sure, with the scythe and the bandages and the old top half of the face covered. Raid loves that design. Take a look at her. Ichor Sickles. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20 bucks to 30% chance of placing a poison for 2 turns. A very low chance, very unreliable. Wasting Affliction, 3 turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies. 100% chance when booked of putting Weaken for 2 turns. And then her A3, Languish, 3 turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy. 100% chance when booked of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. And increasing the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. Okay. Her passive Venom for Blood heals her by 3% max HP whenever an enemy receives damage from a poison debuff. Okay, so she'll come in, she'll put out Weaken, she can decrease enemy buffs, increase their debuffs, small chance to poison. Seems pretty underwhelming. I guess it's for like sort of a classic Demon Lord combo where you'd have another poisoner. She comes in with the Weaken and extending the poisons, some extra poisons there. The healing is a bit weird. She's very squishy. So I'm not sure if you'd use her in like a killable team. I don't know. Where would you use her? It's not jumping out to me. This doesn't seem obvious at all to me. To me, she seems pretty underwhelming. But at least the A3 is sort of interesting. I don't know. Not sold on that. And then for the dwarves, we have Morag, who is a defense-based champion. Morag Bronze Lock. I actually think visually this champion looks badass. So it's like the Acrizia model. It's kind of like Trunda and Acrizia had a baby. I actually prefer her look visually to Acrizia, generally speaking. I don't know. I think she looks really cool. She's got personality. Pretty badass. Raw Iron Slab. So she's a defense-based champion here. Attacks one enemy twice. Each hit ignores shields. Her A2, 3 turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies. Puts Strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Okay. And then her A3, Raider Captain, 4 turn cooldown when booked, teams up with 2 random allies to attack a single enemy. They'll use their default skills and gives an extra turn if any enemy is killed. Then a passive, Test This, might counterattacks when hit while under a strengthen buff placed by this champion. I think this champion is pretty solid, actually. I quite like her. This seems to me like a really good option for a budget, like stone skin nuker for the arena, right? She's going to come in the arena. You imagine her in like your go second team. She's in stone skin or protected by bolster or something like that. She can come in, give your team strengthen, do a nice big nuke. She's got the ally attack that can do an extra turn. She's going to be counterattacking. She's going to be doing all sorts of stuff. I think this champion looks pretty fun. I'm not sure how much you'd use her outside of that, but I like her. I think she's pretty cool. Definitely stands out to me as a go second arena type champion. Could be a really good budget option to go in there, like good against, potentially those Ultimate Death Knight style teams, stuff like that. So there we go. Those are those. Oh, and then we also have the rare that's going to be part of this fusion, Risk Arm. Here he is. This is him. He actually looks quite cool for a rare, I suppose. He's coming in though. Thundering Impact, attacks one enemy, 20 bucks to 30% chance of stun. I mean, for a rare, it's fine. Tower above, 3 turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies, puts a shield buff on this champion, equal to 20% max HP. Max HP is not that good, pretty underwhelming. We'll see how hard it hits. And then Stand Proud, puts a counterattack buff on a target ally for 2 turns, and puts a small version of increased defense on all allies for 2 turns on a 4 turn cooldown. Defense Infection Crypts. This guy definitely doesn't stand out to me. I think there's some okay rares already in Bannerlords. Like, you're not really short for options. So, I don't know. And there's some really good epics in here as well. I don't see this as a faction. You'd need to build them up for Faction Guardians. Maybe there's a Doom Tower Secret Room, but he seems pretty weak to me. I wouldn't really be bothered by Risk Harm. I think you just use him for the fusion and you move on, pretty much. Right then, let's take a look at some of the other stuff going on. Let's go Knights Revenant. Let's go backwards. So Knights Revenant, we've Gorgid the Breaker. Oh man, so like the Nutcracker, evil Nutcracker theme dude. This guy is so creepy. I love this animation, the head spinning around and everything. How freaking cool is that? He's got a bunch of dead rats on his back. He's the one that was fighting the fusion in the teaser video stuff. He's coming in, really high base attack, really high base crit damage, good base speed, and terrible everything else, basically. Breaker Suite is A1, attacks one enemy 2 times, 30% chance of repeating the attack. That could be quite nasty. That could do a ton of damage. His A2, March of 10, books with 3 turn cooldown. attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meters of all targets by 30%. This effect cannot be resisted. Puts unkillable buff on this champion for a turn if it kills an enemy. Pretty exciting stuff. We love to see this cannot be resisted thing included in nukers. You can build them for damage and he can still do this. Not sure how useful that is going to be in the current meta where there tends to be quite a bit of stone skin where you can't actually affect their turn meter. We'll see, but giving unkillable, that's cool. Deadly Ballet, 4-turn cooldown, books to 3, attacks one enemy, ignores strengthen, stone skin, unkillable, block damage, increased defense, ally protection, and shield. Grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy on a 3-turn cooldown. That is pretty cool. So I'm interested with that one. One of the issues for sure with, we jump over, Sylvan Watchers, Eilil. We were really hyped for him because he was doing a lot of the same stuff. We were really hyped. And then we realized the problem, he doesn't ignore shield. So he'd have a really tough time killing people protected by, for example, by Necret, who's putting up really big shields on them. Really hard to still kill that champion. Eilil couldn't quite do it. Maybe Jorgid, or Jorgid, the breaker here, can do it. Not sure how it interacts with the stone skin shield. We'll have to test it out. I don't know, right? Stone skin. For example, with Eilil, we know that when he ignores stone skin, it ignores the damage reduction of stone skin, but he still has to hit the stone skin shield. Maybe Jorgid here will ignore that shield too. I actually don't know. We have to find out. And this passive, Crack Any Shell, has a 50% chance for this champion to ignore 50% of the target's defense from each hit placed by this champion's skills. This guy is a damage dealing monster from the looks of it. This guy is kind of insane. Put him in Savage, give him Helm Smasher, and he has a 50-50. I guess you have to roll the Helm Smasher as well, but he's got a chance to just ignore all defense, go in there, ignore all these buffs, get an extra turn, give himself unkillable, start stripping your turn meter. He can repeat this attack. This guy, so he's super squishy. He's like the definition of a glass cannon. This guy is going to be very, very, very difficult to keep alive. He's so squishy, but he should hit so unbelievably hard. And if he gets through the first few rounds of the battle, he's going to be just disgusting. I'm very curious to see what people make of this champion. For sure, he's nuts. Going to Dark Elves, we have another Void Legendary. That's right. 2 so far. Tramaria coming in. Kind of a cross between, like, got a Crutraxa vibe to her. Kind of like Crutraxa cross with Lydia, almost. Very cool. I love it. I love it. Very nice. She's coming in. Good base speed, 105. So her defensive stats here, lots of resistance. So clearly a support, right? Surprise, surprise. Let's see her. Nightmare Sludge A1 attacks all enemies, has a books to 50% chance of putting decreased speed for 2 turns. Nice for Hydra. And a 50% chance of putting fear for 1 turn on enemies with 20% or less turn meter. This one seems odd. That's very low turn meter. So how is this going to work? Let's see the rest of her kit first. Stagnation Sickness, 4-turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of putting a stun debuff for 1 turn. After attacking, has a 100% chance of decreasing the turn meter of each enemy without a stun debuff. Kind of a bit underwhelming, I'd say. She's got no base accuracy. So, I don't know. We'll see. But it's an AoE attack with 100% chance to stun. If she doesn't stun, she pushes their turn meter back 30%. It's not super amazing so far. Beyond Emotions, 5-turn books to 3-turn cooldown. This move looks much better. Removes all debuffs from all allies. Fills the turn meter of each ally by 15%. Fills the turn meter a further 10% for every fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, or petrification debuff removed. And fills the turn meter of each ally by a further 5% for any other debuff removed. Wow. So basically you're getting a full team cleanse with a massive turn meter boost. Interesting. This could be just like I'm curious about this one. It's a lot of turn meter. So she's all about turn meter. She's immune to sleep. Uncanny. Unusual. You don't see sleep that much. I mean, against Prince Kymar in the arena, but Kymar's even fallen out of the meta a little bit due to, the sheep blessing and stone skin and stuff like that. Fills her turn meter by 20% whenever an enemy tries to put fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, or petrification debuff on this champion. And then speed in all battles, 23%. Interesting Void Legendary. So she's really got a lot of speed manipulation. She brings in the stuns. She can throw out this fear. I still don't know exactly how you use that. I guess the idea would be that she could potentially like cleanse and mega boost and come back in. I kind of feel like she's designed for stuff that's not in the game. Is honestly my honest opinion. As a Void Legendary, I'm looking at her going, where do you use her? Like, where are you getting affected by all of these crowd control things? And you want lots and lots of turn meter and this crowd control. Like, maybe Arena, but she doesn't super as well seem that amazing for Arena. I don't know. What do you think? I don't think she seems that amazing. Like, what jumps to my mind is going, maybe it's going to be all about this next dungeon, right? We know there's another dungeon coming to ascend accessories. They've said that. Maybe she's going to be really good for that because we don't know anything about it. But yeah, I'm not sure what to make of Tremeria, to be honest. There you go. Void Legendary. And jumping to the Banner Lords. You thought 2 Void Legendaries was not enough? Well, guess what? There's 2 more. So let's dive in. And guys, these are a combo of Void Legendaries. They get more powerful when they are together. First is Taras the Fierce. And look at this animation. Just incredible. I believe both of these legendaries are based off of Ukrainian folklore. So they're part of, Ukrainian history and stories and culture and all of that. I don't know anything about that, but hey, this guy, the first one, looks super cool. He's a HP based legendary, and guys, he's got good solid base HP, good defense, he's slow, but look at that, 63% crit damage, very rare for HP based nukers to have that. I think only Samson, the new gorilla, is the only one who's the same. So we're thinking this guy should hit pretty hard, and he's got a crazy amount of moves as well. Let's look. Shatter upon us, level 1, attacks one enemy twice, has a 40% chance of putting decreased attack for 2 turns, and each crit fills the turn meter of all allies by 5%. This gets 30% damage from books. So the effect is not amazing, but we're expecting this guy probably hits really, really hard, and the turn meter fills in okay. Hero's Intercession is a 3-turn cooldown when booked, attacks one enemy, places a stun debuff for 2 turns, deals double damage to enemies whose attack is equal to or higher than this champion's attack. I mean, he's got a 700 attack. His attack is not good. So that's interesting. Single target, 2-turn stun, double damage against most people. This also gets 35% damage from books, and the passive, whenever an enemy attacks Marichica, the Unbreakable, attack that enemy using this skill. So that's the combo there. Whenever anyone attacks the other champion as part of this combo, he attacks them with this potentially massive single target nuke and a 2-turn stun every time they attack. Pretty crazy stuff. Constant pressure, 5-turn books to a 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, damage increases by 15% for each buff on allies, then increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Like, if Samson wasn't a good enough HP nuker for you guys, like, oh my goodness, I am very excited to see how hard this guy hits. This guy seems like he could be nuts. Heals this champion by 5% for every buff that had its duration increased, restores decreased max HP, equal to the amount of any surplus heal. But like, if there's a lot of buffs out there, this guy's gonna smack, right? Surely. This seems crazy. 20% damage from books. Fierce Battler. Passive. When attacked, decrease the enemy's attack by 10% up to 50% or 25% against bosses. Occurs once per skill. Attack reduction resets after each round. Nuts. This is nuts, right? So he's gonna stack up to 50% decrease attack. That's crazy. Whenever he's attacked, he's a HP-based champion. He's tanky. It's a game changer for the arena, right? Game changer. And it's going to be amazing against bosses, too. You can reduce their attack by 25%. That could be huge for getting through like some of these new bosses, which are like Iron Twins, the Sand Devil. All of those bosses absolutely clap. They hit so hard. Having permanent attack reduction seems crazy. Not sure about the attack reduction resetting after each round. I don't know where that's a thing that actually matters. Makes me intrigued about maybe potential future bosses that would have multiple rounds. Every boss in the game, as far as I'm aware, is a single round fight. So that's a weird thing to clarify. I don't know. Active effect places a fear debuff on all enemies from orcs, ogren tribes, undead hordes, and demon spawn factions at the beginning of each round. This debuff cannot be resisted. So if you have your Duchess or your Withier, Your Siphi's, your Rotos. I mean, Siphi will cleanse Rotos anyway, and Siphi's passive kind of counters it. But still, any of these champions that are not in Stone Skin or Immunity or something, they're getting a fear on them. You know, there's a good chance that the fear won't do anything, but it's just that level of RNG that's pretty powerful. And he has another passive, because why not? Poise. All incoming damage is reduced by 50% from skills. What? He just takes half damage from all skills. So debuffs will still do the same thing. But yeah, any skills that hit him, half damage. When attacked, this champion's max HP will be decreased by 25% of the attack's initial damage before the damage reduction. So that's what that's about. And then he, by the way, is at 24% crit rate in all battles aura. So what it seems to me this guy is all about is going to be super tanky, really, really tanky. You're going to be trying to decrease his max HP, but then he can restore that decreased max HP with his AoE. It's going to be he's going to be a nuts champion. This champion is going to be insane. Let's be honest. If you don't decrease his HP enough, it looks like this guy's going to absolutely clap and do crazy damage. He's going to be reducing your... This guy seems insane. Like, when I look at the first two Void Legendaries, like, they were all right. This guy seems on another level. Let's jump over. Let's look at... Whoop, it bugged out a bit. Let's look at his partner in crime, or in Ukrainian folklore. Marichica the Unbreakable. Looks very, very cool. Yeah, really cool looking champ. I dig it. Ooh, she's got cool animations too. So a very strong sort of wind theme. We've got sort of lotus flowers and stuff there, right? Looks really cherry blossom or whatever. Looks really cool. I like it. So look at her. Very high base speed. Really good defensive stats too. Good resistance. So she looks tanky, tanky, tanky. All right, let's take a look. United we triumph. Level 1. Attacks one enemy. One random ally will team up and join the attack. Cool. If Taras the Fierce is on the same team, they'll always be the one to join this champion's attack. Funny enough, it gets a lot of damage from books. But yeah, Taras, remember, his A1 can put decreased attack and fill the turn meter of all allies. So that's sort of the combo that's going on there. Okay. On its own, like, even without Taras, it's still good. You know, a little mini ally attack on the A1, that's solid enough. Interested how it works with other ally attacks, right? Font of Tenacity then. 4-turn books to a 3-turn cooldown. Fully restores any allies' decreased max HP, then heals all allies by 40% of this champion's max HP. Oh boy. Places a shield buff and a protected strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. The shields equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. So 3-turn cooldown. So first of all, against Sand Devil, you know, your HP is getting decreased. Against Hydra, you're getting your max HP decreased. She removes all that decreased max HP, fully restores it, and then massive heal. Also helps with Taras, right? When his max HP is starting to get decreased, she fully cleanses that off. Pretty mad, right? And then the strengthen buff, that's protected. That's nice. The shield buff is not the strongest, but it's going to be good. Seems like that is not protected. But that's a really powerful move. Nurtured Friendship, 6 turns, goes to a 4-turn cooldown, removes all debuffs from all allies, fills the turn meters of all allies by 15%, fills them an extra 5% for each debuff removed. She's basically got that Dark Elf Void Legendary, her big move as well, because why not? Increases the resistance of all allies by 5 for each debuff removed, grants an extra turn if 5 or more debuffs are removed. Like, so she's almost definitely, in most times, she's going to get an extra turn, right? So fully cleanse, big turn meter boost, extra turn, and also this, increasing resistance by 5. Like, is that permanent? How long does that last? It doesn't say. Maybe it's forever. Every time you fight on your account, those champions will permanently have increased resistance. Stack it up. No, that's not going to happen. That's silly. But... like, is this just for the entire, like, round, for the entire fight? Like, in Hydra, every time she cleanses, is she permanently boosting the resistance of my team? Against the Sand Devil, is she boosting their resistance? Like, how does this work? Very curious. This seems super powerful. Then giving all her passive. So it has a passive effect, which is revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 75% turn meter whenever this champion is killed. Which is just absurd, right? That is just absurd. And then an active effect as well with a 3-turn cooldown. That I don't think that part has a cooldown. Places block damage on all allies for 1 turn whenever an ally receives a bomb, poison, or HP burn debuff. So just, again, in the arena, anyone tries to bomb you or burn you or poison, whatever, against, I'm not sure where else this is super common, but anywhere that tries it, against Bommel, she just puts out block damage for free, which is pretty darn cool. But that's just an insane thing, right? Whenever she dies, just revive your entire team. That's just nuts. And then a 24% speed in all battles aura. So yeah, look, there we go, guys. What do you think? I have to say, these two Void Legendaries look extremely strong. One issue, of course, they're both Void Legendaries. Getting one of them is going to be extremely difficult. Getting both of them and running them together, that's going to be, again, extremely difficult to happen. I don't know how that's going to happen. If you got any Void Shards, I guess hold on to them in case there's a guaranteed event for these champions, because they seem extremely good. Save your Void Shards now would be my advice. Not sure. I think this Night Revenant guy is also really exciting. It's a straightforward, I smack you ridiculously hard. The Dark Elf Void Legendary, I don't know. The epics for the fusion pick, a bit of a mixed bag. We'll see. I like the Dwarf one actually quite a lot, to be honest. And then I think the new fusion guy, solid base stats. He's looking good. He does get a little bit overshadowed. I think he's going to be great. Gets a bit overshadowed by those Void Legos, right? But yeah, there you go, guys. Let me know. What do you think of all these new champions? I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.